The second chapter of the 8th endgame DVD on practical rook endings deals with typical techniques of the rook. Mostly, in the case of the second chapter, the attacking rook. For instance, you guessed it, the rook belongs behind the passed pawn, be it a friendly or enemy. Dr. Char's famous guideline. But of course, never apply guidelines too automatically. The checking distance should be 3 squares to be sufficient for the rook to give annoying counter checks to harass the king. 2 squares is usually not enough distance. We will see more of this soon. Okay, so but first let's start with Ernie Summerhalder, Gibraltar 2011, White in move and win. Take your time for the moment. It's not so easy, but you now know that white is a winning move. It's a big difference compared to the game. The rook belongs behind the passed pawn. King a2. The king maneuvers to stop black's rook. Yeah, after... Oh, excuse me, that was the wrong... Okay. After rook takes f3, b6, the pawn cannot be stopped, as white's rook is very well placed. It is not yet behind it, so it can interfere. That's also an important technique, of course. And now the king approaches that black's rook needs to get behind the pawn, but white's king, of course, is too close and it's easily winning. And after rook e8, b6, yeah, white's rook can now control everything. This is the key. Protect the pawn, and also protect that pawn from behind. And this is one of the reasons why the rook is so strongly placed behind the passed pawn. While, on the other hand, the defending rook is a very, very bad blockading piece. It is now almost in Zugzwang, because if it moves, then the passed pawn just advances further and further and gets strong and strong. So this is a very, usually it's much better the other way around. The defending king should blockade the pawn and the rook should make the counter-attack. Because the rook is much stronger at counter-attacking than at blockading. Very important also. The roles of the pieces should be divided like that, and not like this. Okay, now it's over. Yeah, white has full control and a free king, and this decides, as black cannot sacrifice. Yeah, now the king threatens to protect the pawn, but white's king is close enough. Now, which typical technique from the first chapter? You should remember it by heart. Zwischenschach. Going behind. Again, the rook belongs behind the passed pawn. Well, this really is a very good guideline, but never use it automatically. Always think first about your concrete position on the board, of course. This is one of the keys to the game. To know the guidelines, to feel and know when they apply, but then also to have to be very sensitive to the moments when they don't apply, and then go into the position with the energy and prove that it's an exception. Okay, but there's of course no exception, so the rule applies and white wins. Okay, but in the game, Ernie played rook c3, and now it's a draw after king g3. Of course, going to the pawn endgame loses. Yeah. And yeah, the pawn hasn't advanced to the second rank, so white is always winning. With very, 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 very few exceptions, but usually this is just winning because the queen approaches, and then the king, and then it's over. Okay. But now it's a draw. b6 would even blow it completely due to rook e6, and now black wins because the b pawn falls, and then white's king is stuck in the middle of nowhere, while black's is ideally placed in the attack. Okay. So, and he tried this, but now black can trade down to a pawn ending, chooses the right side of his pawn, which advances to the second, and white's king is just outside the winning zone, so after a few moves, a draw was agreed. Of course, this would be wrong, as now the winning zone is much larger. White's king is clearly inside the winning zone, and white wins. Okay, so of course, the defender goes to the safe side near the corner of his bishop's pawn. Yeah, this is over. And now this is the reason why we want to b4 are also in the winning zone if now queen then mate. And on the other hand, if the pawn must advance, and the knight is of course also easily beaten by the attacking queen. So this happens quite often. King a2, now the rook is very well placed. It can go quickly behind the pawn. Black's rook doesn't have the chance to get behind the b pawn. And also black has no check at the moment. And then white's rook manages to get full control. And this is an ideal setup for the attacker because his king is entirely free.